this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how I got rid of this recessed ceiling in this kitchen. I'll share some tips with you, some struggles that I had, some things that I wish I had done if I could go back and do it again. So let's just jump right into it. So I was a little hesitant to take this job just because of the drywall aspect of it. I've been doing this professionally for my own self for about 6 years, but still I sometimes struggle with doing drywall. Frankly, I just kind of needed the work, decided to take it on, and after planning it out, I didn't think it'd be too bad. So this is a 4 foot by 8 foot space, which means I could just use one sheet of drywall. It was a 5/8 sheet, which 5/8 usually goes on the ceiling. The one thing I wish I would have done different is a sheet of drywall has tapered edges on the sides of it, which means that you're gonna have more mud filling that space, and when you're butting a new piece up against a flat piece, it's gonna be a little bit of a height difference. So what I did in framing this was I used that little, I don't know what it's called exactly, little measuring tool. You could use any tool that you want, but I measured 5/8 all the way around. I could just put that up and mark or set my 2x4 so that I know where my 2x4 goes to leave space for the drywall. So that was the main thing with the framing. I did 2 foot spacing. That's all you really need to hang the ceiling. So leave yourself 5/8 of an inch gap so that the ceiling sits flush with the rest of the ceiling. And I don't know if I should have cut the board in half and kind of flipped it so that the tapered edges were in the middle, but I just decided to throw this thing up right in place. And with my drywall skills, it didn't go how I hoped it did, but it ends up turning out okay. So those poles there are meant for holding plastic for painting, and I had the bright idea that I would just do this by myself and I could hoist the thing up. Ended up having to get help from the client to get that up there because those 5/8 sheets are heavy, but somehow I managed and it worked out. So now I'm putting on all-purpose mud, and I'm using this special kind of tape that first time I used it, I loved it, so I just used it ever since. It's a fiberglass type of tape. I'm not exactly sure what it's called, but it's easy to identify because it's blue. And I just really like it because it's flat, it's easy to work with. It's best to cut it with scissors. It's kind of a pro tip there instead of fiddling around with a knife. So on my first coat, I filled in all the gaps around the drywall. I put the first coat on with all-purpose. And then I didn't let it dry. I'm trying to do this somewhat quickly. I knew that if I had any cracks, I could come back and fix them. But I was pretty certain that it wouldn't crack, which it didn't. But all-purpose has some adhesive in it, has more glue. So instead of I don't know if some people prime the existing paint on the existing ceiling or what, but I decided to do all-purpose and it worked out great. However, my taping and mudding skills, as you can see, are not very good. But if your mudding and taping skills aren't the best either, maybe this will be inspirational for you, hopefully, to show you that even if you do a bad job to some extent with taping and mudding, sanding it down can make everything look somewhat decent or make it, acceptable and good. What we're after is just flat. We just want everything flat, and it's hard to do. Taping and mudding is an art. A lot of contractors I work with, they don't do any kind of taping or mudding because it's difficult. But if you have it down, it's a special skill, and I'm always trying to get better with it. but I knew I could do it. I knew it might take some fiddling with, and so I decided to take this job on anyways. And you'll see me here sanding. This is probably, I think it was 20 minutes just straight sanding with this. They make some really good electric sanders, which I'm gonna be purchasing on Amazon for the next time I have to do this. I'll leave a link in the description for that. But here I'm checking with a knife for flatness, and you can see the gaps in between where I need to put more mud. So after each coat, which on my second coat I used a +3, I have to go back and try to fill that in so that I can get it nice and flat. That way the ceiling doesn't have any kind of humps or anything in it when it's all finished. So I could see it was nice and flat where the ceiling met the new drywall, but then with those tapered edges, it really sunk in, and I needed to fill that in. So I just fiddled with it, you know, probably much more than I should. If you're a drywall guy and you're watching this, you're probably just wondering like, what the heck are you doing? I wanted to tell you guys too, if you are looking to learn some skills for free on YouTube with doing drywall, the Vancouver Carpenter, excellent channel for learning how to do drywall and different stuff. So if you want to get better at drywall, learn from him, don't learn from me. I'm just hoping that this might inspire you to be like, dang, if this guy can do it and this is his livelihood, then I should be able to take this on too. Here I'm using a topping mud for my texture. This was just like a medium orange peel texture. So I had some left in a bag. The top of the bag was really dry, so I cut it off and just squeezed it into a little pail. Stirred it up with some water until it got kind of like a thick pancake mixture, to where it started dripping a little bit. And that's about right where I wanted it. You'll see me here just spraying on the plastic, testing it out, getting the pressure right, which I did the pressure I tried to get about 40 PSI, and then adjust my air opening valve so that it spits out the amount that I want. Just kind of see how it works. Go around in circles. You don't want to go back and forth. I kind of go in a circular pattern, and that's really all there is to it. Doesn't look that great in the camera, but it did turn out well. I had to do one extra coat of mud on the tape just because it wasn't flat enough, and I didn't plan on that, so it took me an extra day, but it was well worth it. The client was very happy. You couldn't see any of the humps or dips or anything from the old to the new. And that's what essentially we're after. It's just, you just want it to be nice and flat, to look good. And so, you know, here it doesn't look that great because the texture's wet, but once it gets primed and painted, which the client's gonna do, it's gonna look great. And they were very pleased with it. Eventually the electrician came in and put the lights in, ran into him, and he even told me, he said, yeah, you did a good job on that drywall job. So I hope that encourages you. I'm happy to share this with you, and I will try to share some more jobs with you. I believe you can do it. You have the tools, the knowledge, just get out there and try it. If you're a DIYer, if you're a handyman in business and you want to try something like this, drywall is something you can fix. I'm sure you got a buddy or somebody that can come help you if you really get in trouble with it. But for the most part, thanks for hanging out, and I hope to see you in the next video.